So we all know that in India we have had the economic reforms in 1991, right? In scholarly articles you will find the name Rao Manmohan reforms. Actually जगदीश भगवती जो फेमस इकोनॉमिस्ट हैं उन्होंने ये नाम दिया था Rao Manmohan reforms of 1991. Basically, as again we all know, it was a government led by Mr. Narasimha Rao, and before that Dr. Manmohan Singh was the RBI governor, and after retirement he was given the position of finance ministry in the Rao government. And it was a midterm election in 1991, and Dr. Manmohan Singh presented a budget in July 1991. In fact, I recommend everyone, all of you, go to some website, search Google, you will find it. Download his speech in Parliament. Dr. Manmohan Singh की जो speech है Parliament में as the first where he talked about how Indian economy can no longer be like it used to be, and so many changes were there, and it's a beautiful speech. A few pages I think you can download, you should read it, and you will see the philosophy behind it, the reasons behind it, what led us to. So what since independence, what led things, what led us to change? So you want to come in? Please come. Hi. So what led us to economic reforms? What went wrong with the previously held policies? And which are the factors that led to the 1991 reforms, right? So as we know, there are two types of factors. There are global factors, events happening at the world, which in a way were creating issues in India, as well as some of the internal factors of our own economic issues. We'll discuss these terms. What are these things? Right? So let us look at some of the global issues that were happening. 1980s. In fact, it has been happening right after the Second World War. I'm sure आप लोगों ने कहीं ना कहीं स्कूल बुक्स में या पढ़ा होगा. The events immediately after Second World War. As far as economy and business and international trade is concerned, we all know that there are things happening right immediately after the World War. Bretton Woods Conference कहीं ना कहीं आप लोगों ने पढ़ा होगा, ठीक है? Bretton Woods Conference हुआ था 1945 में, which led to certain things. So Bretton Woods was the name of a hotel. It was a place, and there was a hotel जहाँ पे कि commerce ministers from all over the world assembled, and as a result of the Bretton Woods Conference, three major institutions emerged, right? So World Bank, or IBRD as it is called, then IMF, ये भी आपको पता है, International Monetary Fund, और GATT, General Agreement on Tariff and Trade, right? Fine, great, ये आप लोगों को मालूम है. IBRD or the World Bank and IMF were created for specific purposes, and the reason was the global destruction due to World War. All over the world, Europe, Asia, wherever, I mean, it was a world war, so it was everywhere. So there was a huge destruction. If you can look at some of the documentaries or movies, you'll find that there were cities which were completely destroyed. There are cities in Italy, cities in Poland, cities in Czechoslovakia, now Czech Republic, which were completely disseminated. Towns, Palermo and Milan, and even one of the reasons why France surrendered was that they feared that the German forces would destroy Paris. They didn't want the Paris to be destroyed, so they surrendered. That's the story that goes. Anyway, now to reconstruct would require a lot of money, and all the countries were facing economic problems because all were participating in the war, some way or the other, directly, indirectly. So in fact, that is why the name IBRD was there. You know the full form. International Bank for Reconstruction, right? So it was about reconstruction. So IBRD was established for providing easy credit for reconstruction, infrastructure, and all these works. The second was IMF. And IMF, as you know, monetary fund, which also had to provide credit to the countries. But the purpose was different. IBRD was about funds for reconstruction. IMF was about funds for stabilizing the monetary system. Right? So, because again, lot of inflation was there, currency exchange rates were going haywire. Many countries were facing big problems because of the war. So it provided loan for stabilizing the monetary system in countries. So IMF, World Bank, both credit providers, but different purposes. India is one of the founder members of all these institutions, whether it is IMF or IBRD or even GATT. But there is a difference between GATT and the other two. Again, you know it, but no harm in repeating it. GATT was an agreement, not an institution, right? So the mandate of GATT, like any decisions of GATT, were not binding for the members. IMF and World Bank, that was a different thing because they were statutory institutions. GATT was not a statutory institution as such. It was just an agreement. So based on negotiations, that's all. So if there is some issue, then countries would sit and negotiate and come at a common decision, whatever they agreed to. And because it was not binding, so once again it was possible कि आज हमने agree कर लिया और कल हमने मना कर दिया. So GATT was that way, a little different from World Bank and IMF. So that's a little background of this. Then the UN, when UN was established again in 1945, UN itself had various arms related to development and infrastructure. For example, UNCTAD, ये भी आप लोगों ने नाम सुना होगा, Conference on Trade and Development, UN Conference on Trade and Development. So that was there. इस तरह के और दो तीन उनके institutions थे. So politically, what was happening? Let us look at some of the political background of what was happening. US, because it showed its supremacy by dropping atomic bombs on Japan, so it was immediately recognized as a superpower. On the other hand, Russia, it became USSR at that time, because it defeated Germany, which was actually, capturing the whole of Europe. So in that sense, even Russia was regarded as one of the superpower. So we became a bipolar, not in the mental sense, but bipolar world, right? So the bipolar world means we had two strong superpowers. And then we started with what we call a Cold War. There was a situation of Cold War. Can any of you say what is a Cold War? What do we mean by the term Cold War?
टेंशन एक तरह का बयानबाजी केवल है बयानबाजी, धमकी, थ्रेटेंस और इस तरह की चीजें जो दो देशों के बीच में कन्वर्सेशन के थ्रू चलती रहती है।
आप कुछ कह रहे थे?
Without use of fighting armies.
Right. So a Cold War is a situation of preparedness for war.
Pre-war position.
The countries are prepared for war. वो missiles लगी हुई हैं, forces तैयार हैं. Only somebody has to push the button. Right. But actual war doesn't take place. So that is the situation of a Cold War. So two countries, so US and USSR were prepared for war. ये भी एक I'm sure you must have read या आप पढ़ सकते हैं इसको कि like Cuba, which is only a few miles from the Miami Beach in Florida. It was an ally of USSR, so they had installed their missiles on Cuba towards America. Similarly, the US had used its Western European allies for missiles against USSR and so on. All these things, political, etc., went on. Something started in 1950s, and it started in Vietnam. एक बड़ा फेमस वियतनाम वॉर आप लोगों ने पढ़ा होगा कभी. It started somewhere in late 50s. Vietnam, right? Vietnam is a country which was ruled by the communists. Sorry, which was ruled by some democratic guy, and they were communist rebels, right? So the Vietnamese government was supported by the US, and the rebels were supported by the USSR, right? So all the army training, guns and ammunition and everything. So again, you see, it was a proxy war between US and USSR. Again, both the countries were not directly participating, but US was supporting the Vietnamese government, and USSR was supporting the rebels. So by proxy, there was a war. Both the countries, US and USSR, spent a lot of money, a lot of manpower for supporting both the sides. It went on for many, many years. In fact, almost 2 decades. Number of presidents in the USA came and went. Kennedy at that time, until his assassination, and then other presidents. Now, because of the war, there was a lot of anti-war sentiments going all over the world. You know, in the US, in UK, and everywhere. Agar aap pop culture, if you know something about, so you know that there are so many singers who sang against the war. I don't know if you're interested in this. Bruce Springsteen, born in USA, and Beatles and all those people were talking about anti-war. The whole hippie culture actually started as a rebellion against the war, right? So the war went on for many years. Eventually, US could not win. They could not win the war. They had to, just like from Afghanistan, they've just gone back. From Vietnam also, they had to go back without actually a final victory, right? Till 70s, early 70s, it went on. Now, by this time, lots of changes have taken place in the world. Both the sides, USA and its allies, they formed what we call a NATO pact, North Atlantic Treaties Organization. So US and its allies, and USSR and its allies formed what we call the Warsaw Pact. Warsaw, you know, the capital of Poland. So there was a meeting at Warsaw where the USSR and its allies. So mostly the allies were countries in the Eastern Europe, bordering USSR. Czechoslovakia, Yugoslavia, Romania, Poland, Hungary, all these countries. And countries in Central Asia had already joined the USSR They became a part of USSR. That's why it was called USSR. It was Russia, and then these countries, Kyrgyzstan, Turkmenistan, Armenia, Georgia, and
Bulgaria.
so many countries. Not Bulgaria, it was a separate country, right? But yes, Bulgaria was also East European country, which was a part of Warsaw Pact. So all many countries had joined USSR, and some countries were USSR allies. So world was in two different poles, and you all know that we in India started with a third thing that is called NAM, non-aligned. ये सब चीजें आपको पता है. Still no harm in repeating it. By the time and a couple of events occurred in between, which are important for India as well as for other countries. One was the first Gulf crisis. It took place somewhere in 1972 or 73. OPEC was formed, right? And you know, when oil extraction started from the Gulf countries, so वहाँ पे ज़्यादातर oil extraction जो है वो it was outsourced. You know, it was the big companies like Exxon and DuPont and British Petroleum and Burma Shell, ये सारी बड़ी कंपनियां जो हैं, they were exploring and doing all this. But over the years, some of the Gulf countries developed on their own because now they had money they could afford. तो उन्होंने अपने refineries पे अपना control शुरू किया. Then they realized that, you know, they were selling for too cheap. तो उन्होंने कहा कि हमें price बढ़ानी होगी. So at one point of time they stopped production. Oil extraction और वो उन्होंने बंद कर दिया. So suddenly there was a big issue everywhere because petroleum for the world was produced in Gulf areas, almost all, if not entirely. It had a problem with India also because we also imported everything from there. In fact, some of the Indian companies were born only after that, like Indian Oil Corporation and some others. They all started late 60s, early 70s because the government was facing a lot of problem in importing. Indian Oil actually came in after the war with Pakistan in 1965 when the US had put an embargo on India कि कोई यहाँ पे supply नहीं करेगा. तो 71, sorry, not 65, 71 war. So उसके तुरंत बाद Indian Oil बनाया गया कि we should do something on our own. Because of this Gulf crisis, not just in India but many countries in the world have faced a lot of problem in paying high prices and foreign exchange going out. So foreign exchange drained out, especially in a country like India where we used to provide subsidies on petroleum. तो हम तो consumers को उतने ही price में provide करा रहे हैं, but we are importing at a higher price because market prices are higher, right? So that was a problem for us. By the time we entered 80s, things were changing in many parts of the world. One of the things is the GATT. You all know GATT, आप लोगों ने हमेशा पढ़ा होगा GATT के बारे में. Like I said, GATT was a negotiation, right? So the GATT negotiations are named after the place where these are held, right? So these are called rounds. आप लोगों ने पढ़ा Uruguay round and Seattle round and Cancun round and so on. So the last round of GATT, the Uruguay round, started in 1986 and went on till 1994, till it was converted into WTO, right? So GATT was facing a lot of troubles. There were controversies between developing countries and developed countries. There were issues related to environmental things like emissions, etc. There were issues related to custom duties and import duties. Some countries were protecting their domestic business by imposing a lot of import duties. So, and many companies were putting pressure on their governments to, ease the restrictions on imports and exports and so on. So lots of things were going on. During 80s, the Chinese premier, Deng Xiaoping, he started with limited reforms. So China, we all know, still is a communist country. But in 1980s, Mr. Deng Xiaoping started with a limited reform. Limited reform in the sense that he created a couple of ports as industrial places. For example, I'm forgetting the name. One was, of course, the Shanghai port, and there was one more port that he created where he allowed a free trade. But this was only limited to these couple of reasons. The rest of the China was not there. But it brought lot of impetus for industrial development in China. That started happening in 80s. So China started emerging as an industrial power. Then changes were taking place all over the Europe. A couple of important changes. One was that in the Eastern Bloc, that is USSR and its allies, there was a strong public sentiment against communist ideology. So there were lots of rebellions, civil wars. आप लोगों ने पढ़ा होगा वो यूगोस्लाविया में बहुत चल रहा था. Later on, Yugoslavia broke into three. Now there are three countries, Bosnia and all those. Similarly, Czechoslovakia broke into two, Czech Republic and Slovenia, right? In Romania, there was this dictator who was thrown out, and it became a democracy. In Poland, under the leadership of Lech Walesa, that's the name of the labor leader. Again, there were struggles for democracy and all those things. And in Russia, when Mr. Gorbachev, Mikhail Gorbachev, became the premier, he decided to go for a democratic country. And he allowed those countries to become independent who had joined them previously from the Central Asian countries. So ये सारे countries जो है ना, Kyrgyzstan और Turkmenistan and Armenia, etc. ये सब independent, 14 countries, they became independent. And USSR again became Russia. Right? Now Russia was only one country. Then वहाँ भी democracy आ गई. One major event happened in Germany, वो भी आपको मालूम है. The wall of Berlin fell down. It was brought down and Germany unified. Earlier we had, after Second World War, we had East and West Germany. So it became one country. So you could see that there were changes in ideologies of business, economy, like from communism to liberal democracy and somewhat capitalism. And India could not be unaffected from all this. One of the big reasons was that we all know that after independence, we had a natural bent towards the communist countries. We are, by the constitution, we are a socialist. We are not a communist country, we are a socialist democratic republic, right? But we are, suppose there is a continuum, so we are somewhere leaning left to the center. We were. Now we can say we are leaning somewhat right to the center. Right? Many of our big projects after independence, ये भी आपको मालूम होगा, चाहे वो भाखरा नंगल डैम हो या राउरकेला और ये सारे steel plants, no, they were all with the help of Russia, and that technology was used. Even in international trade, much of our trade was with Russia and other countries, and very less with US and others as comparison to. So once the Russian economy fell down in 1991, just it started a couple of years before that. और उस समय एक और इवेंट हुआ in 1989, the second Gulf crisis, when Iraq invaded Kuwait. ये एक बड़ी फेमस आपने मूवी भी देखी होगी वो एयरलिफ्ट एंड ऑल, राइट. सो इट वाज व्हेन इराक इन्वेडेड कुवैत. उस समय क्या हुआ कि फिर वंस अगेन बिकॉज ऑफ द वॉर गोइंग ऑन, Saudi Arabia and others were supporting Kuwait and Iraq was on one side, and so again oil production stopped for a few days. Lots of Indians who used to live there, who used to send money monthly back home, it was one of the biggest contributors to our foreign exchange reserve. वो बंद हो गया, लोग बहुत से लोग भाग के आ गए वापस, ये भी आप लोगों ने देखा होगा. So suddenly there was a shortage of foreign exchange. I remember it was the government of Mr. Chandrasekhar, and there was a point of time जबकि हमारा foreign exchange reserve was there for only 2 or 3 days, and the foreign exchange reserve usually we keep for a month. That is the buffer stock of foreign exchange. So at one point of time it was there only for 2 days, and the oil import is on a daily basis. Oil prices shot up because from Gulf no oil came, so we started buying from South America and other ways. So shipping was very expensive from Venezuela and other places, and again we were giving subsidies. तो वो जो सब्सिडी था वो गवर्नमेंट के एक्सचेकर से जाता था और दूर से आता था तो शिपिंग की कॉस्ट भी ज़्यादा हो जाती थी. सो दैट वाज अनदर थिंग कि अचानक हमारे लिए प्रॉब्लम इकट्ठी होगी, क्योंकि I remember I was in college and एक दिन अनाउंसमेंट हुआ कि अब रेशनिंग होगी. So if you have a car you could get I think 10 liters of petrol, and if you have this two-wheeler maximum 5 liter or 2 liters were allowed. So petrol pump के बाहर लंबी कतारें लगती थी and all. So for a few days that happened. That also we saw, you know. So that again put pressure on India. And then GATT, like we said, 1986 से negotiation शुरू हुए, and because we were the founder members, because we were heading many of the negotiations, so when GATT came with certain proposals, we drafted some of the proposals. So again we had to align our economy with the world economy. So at the international level these were the things that were happening, pushing us towards the economic reforms. Okay, right. And then domestically what was happening? ये तो global चीजें हो रही थी. Domestically what was happening? Because of the oil prices, inflation was going up. In fact, I was just 2-3 days back I was going through this. And inflation rose from about 6.7% to 16.7% within a couple of years. So that is something that was concerning for the government. It also led to rise in prices of many things. In general, prices were high for many commodities. Political situation in India was also like, in 1989 the general elections were there, and then the government fell because it didn't have the majority. Mr. Rajiv Gandhi was the Prime Minister, then Mr. VP Singh became the Prime Minister, then again within a few months Mr. Chandrasekhar became the Prime Minister, and we were having number of elections actually every 6 months or 1 year. Between 1989 to 91 we had 2 elections, which again put pressure on prices and other indicators of the economy. So in 1991 that was happening before the reforms. Prices were going high. Then there was a huge rise on fiscal deficit. The government expenditure was going up like anything, once again because of subsidies. We were giving subsidies on petroleum, on agriculture, on many other things, fertilizers, seeds. So that was the thing. So it was putting pressure on exchequer, and government expenditure was going up. In fact, public debt was going so high that we had to borrow from IMF to control the BOP situation, balance of payment situation at that time. And there was a point of time where our debt was so high that the contribution of the interest on the debt was almost 30%, more than 30% of the overall government expenditure. So total government expenditure more than 30% was only for giving interest, repaying interest. So that again was something that was pushing Indian economy to a corner. Then BOP, as we said, became more adverse. Negative BOP was there. In 1980-1981, it was about 2,200 crore rupees negative, and in 1991 it rose to more than 17,000 crore rupees. So you can imagine more than 7-8 times increase in the negative balance of payment situation, right? So we had to take a huge loan from IMF to control that. Iraq war we talked about. Also, PSUs, many of the PSUs were giving continuous losses. So government had to rethink about the policy related to public sector undertakings. So many of the PSUs were continuously under losses. Initially, government started, for example, if you are from Kanpur, you know the Kanpur story, right? There is a saying that Kanpur is an industrial graveyard, right? So many sick units are there. So earlier there were private industry which were taken over by the government, like all the BIC companies, private, then government took over, and then again they started faltering. So now we all know that all the mills are closed. So PSUs became a big burden. Many of these PSUs, a lot of money was going into, pumped into, and without any benefit as such. And we have discussed the fall in foreign exchange reserves. So you can see that these were the things just before 1991. Keeping these things in mind, the new government, which was again a coalition government. You see, in 1991, Mr. Narasimha Rao's government was not a government with a full majority. It was a government with coalition of many parties. But still, of course, they must have done whatever to satisfy their allies. But still, the government was able to come with economic reforms that we know that we are still reaping benefits of. And in spite of lot of opposition in the parliament and outside by many parties, political parties as well as labor organizations and different kinds of unions, the government was able to implement the reforms, right? And we'll discuss the reforms next time. I'm sure you all know when we talk about LPG and all, right? So ये सारा आप लोगों ने कभी न कभी किया हुआ है, but we are just trying to brush it up. And later on we started with the second phase of economic reforms in 1998. Right, we started with the economic reforms, but we wanted to give it a boost in 1998. So the government started with a second phase of economic reforms in India. So we'll discuss that also in the next class. So if anyone has any questions, please